Ils disent on peut pas changer pendant le truc de base.
You
Ok.
walk toward the house.
Bon, bah,
Sounds of
ok.
laughter and
Bon, bref, là, du coup, on est en train de voyager, on est dans une baraque. Au pire, j'en ferai une intro si effectivement on peut changer par la suite.
you sit down and join the game. It's a cheap buy-in. The lady fiddling with dice gets good cards, but has no real strategy. The man in gray across from you, though, he's good. One by one, the other players leave the table, sometimes with Finally, it's just you and the man in gray. He looks at you. He deals, you draw, and look at your hand. But the man in gray pushes forward his whole pile. You're not sure exactly. The man in gray stops you. Now, if you like, I'll let you wager your word. I know you'll be. The man in gray smiles.
Ok.
Well, your luck wasn't so good, was it? That's quite the hand, but not for the game we're playing. I'm afraid you owe me. You see, this land is built on stories. It's one big story, this country, woven of many small ones. Few of the small, all the stories and songs and myths and legends start somewhere. But to pay your debt to me, you'll be carrying stories. Finding the seeds first, and then most of the stories you'll find will be small seeds. The more important stories are the true ones. The more true stories you can find and tell, the more you can weave. Now, go ahead.
Ok, donc là, je peux enfin aller aux options, si je dis pas de bêtises. Ou pas d'ailleurs.
Go on your way, seeker. Either way, I'm jealous in some. I hope you find what.
Ok, donc là, je vais pouvoir mettre les options. Ouais, donc du coup, je comprends pas pourquoi tout le début était... Tant pis. Ok. Bon, du coup c'est un peu con de faire la présentation du jeu maintenant alors que je pense que je vais couper un peu avant pour montrer un peu comme le début. Du coup donc c'est Where the Water Tastes Like Wine, qui est un jeu en fait où on va se balader sur le continent américain et le but ça va être d'apprendre des histoires, les propager, etc. Donc là le début en gros on est arrivé à une table de jeu, on a perdu au jeu. Face à un loup-garou, voilà. Et donc pour nous rembourser, il va falloir qu'on colporte des histoires. Voilà, donc nous on est là, et on va pouvoir se balader apparemment. Elle est cool la zik.
This bungalow is being ransacked. There's furniture piled in the front yard. And the two heavily armed, mud-caked women leaning over the porch railing share the same bored grin. You are about to hand her a smoke when those men draw pistols and shove you hard. Once they've dumped your bag out into the road, they decide you're harmless. If you were selling booze too, you'd have a lot more cash.
Ok. On va arrêter pour contrebande. Hein. Siffler avec contrôle, inventaire, faire du stop.
I'm gonna cast my stones o'er the waters of this land, and by and by
Je pense que je suis même pas obligé de suivre la route en vrai. D'accord, donc là le but en gros c'est d'aller trouver les 16 personnages, d'accord, et échanger des histoires avec eux quoi.
Off the road and into the woods, you can't help but come across this package by the old tree tied to a sturdy stick. The shape gives a start.
Please don't tell my pa that I'm in here.
Mhm.
It said,
Pa doesn't want to live with us anymore. But I want to go with him. Don't tell him, please.
you tell the boy you'll keep his secret. They don't come every year, you know. The old man is sitting at the edge of a rotting old pier. Crooked just when the fishing is going to be good. He taps great, black, thick globs of spent. Another year of this town being here, he replies, letting a grin spread across his face. A woman walks the small town square with the poise of Betty Davis. A confident
Seems
stride and inimitable mannerisms. You question a well-dressed man parked outside an oyster house. Prudish woman. I took her on a fine date and she didn't remove so much. You talk with a waitress smoking outside a diner. Something funny about her. Just showed up one day. Doesn't work. You ask the woman if you may join her at a public bench.
You may. Lovely outside, isn't it?
Her eyes are a beautiful shade of brown.
C'est très sur du coup.
You can see storm clouds on the horizon, and you don't relish the thought of being caught wandering. At the top of an ornate wrought iron spiral, you're breathless and feeling the strain. Looks like we got a visitor. Sounds like a man's voice, deep and rough.
Well, behave.
After a moment, the door unlatches from the inside and opens. The man before you is tall and muscular. Despite the rough exterior, this room looks like a well-appointed parlor. There's a rug on the well-trod wooden floor and an enormously plush couch.
A few years.
The tall one sits on the sofa, wrapping his arm casually around the other lighthouse keeper. 5, says the smaller, but by no means small, man. You wake up the next morning on their old sofa, still warm from an excess of tea, and
Alors, donc là si je veux, je peux faire des stops, c'est ça l'idée?
dusty truck and a man on horseback pull up next to one another in front of the grocer. Suddenly, the driver and the man with the truck leaps into the street.
Brother!
He shouts. The one on the horse. Everyone here is watching these two older men cry and hug one another in the middle of Main Street. The long-lost brothers pose in front of traffic, cry snot pouring out of their noses. As angry passerby...
Je peux vite les style en fait. D'accord, il y a des endroits où il y a... Ok. Quand il n'y a rien affiché, en fait, finalement, on peut quand même faire des trucs. Alors, explorer.
This city is like no other you've been to.
Sandal,
Crooked
3,
streets splay out in a maze of narrow passages. No two alike. Unable to afford rescue, you keep walking. The asphalt turns to... It's hard finding your way through in pitch darkness. You go by touch and you quiet yourself, suddenly fearful.
un
The
canon.
clear sky tells you it's not thunder. When you come to, there's no sign of the commotion, the war that you were...
D'accord, bizarre. Là. Ouais. Camper. Ouais, pourquoi pas.
Hey there, stranger. You're welcome to enjoy this fire with me, if you're respectful, that is. This here is my spot.
C'est
and I
vraiment
ain't
cool, les
going to share
dessins,
with
j'aime
any
beaucoup.
bad characters. You can call me. These here are my venturing companions. Kaz is the big un, and the one with the spot. I usually beat my way on the rails, but the road news said this town was fat, and the weather was fine. Hey, tell me one of those exciting...
Alors, surtout l'histoire que t'as recueillie jusqu'à maintenant sont classées par sujet, parce que patron, les caractères. Ah, ça, son amour, il a tout fait un état de sa vie qui est très l'amour. La direction droite, la nuit prend soin. D'accord. C'est marrant comme concept. De quoi du coup? Ouais, c'est pas mal ça comme action, je pense.
Well, that was something.
Ça, c'est une histoire, c'était formidable. Voilà, je savais que ça me plairait. Ok, le bon truc avec de l'action.
Authority.
Peut-être, hein, c'est l'histoire de patron.
I ain't nobody's
M'occupe de
little
personne et de la personne à personne, c'est sa question. Je m'occupe de la pomme et c'est chiant.
I don't need no jocker looking out for
Ah,
me.
cette
So if you're
proposition est
offering,
déclinée, moi qui
go.
pas de respect.
You want to
Quoi?
keep enjoying my spot or not? Think about, I'm in the mood for something real funny like.
Histoire tordante. Ouais, c'est ça.
I don't get too much out of tales that are so cheerful. My there ain't no way I'm gonna start jaw flapping about those bastards. Hey, do you got any really thrilling stories to tell? Were you trying to scare me? Well, you didn't go. Well, they say there's an Injun grave around these parts. Say it's. I used to love hearing stories of cowboys and Injuns fighting it up. I want to hear one of them
Bon, là, il est pas trop ouvert.
Ain't life got enough tearjerkers in it without telling stories like sad? Oh, so you think I don't need you looking after me. So what you really ought to be asking yourself is if you want to keep enjoying. I want a story that scares me.
Oui, t'as déjà tout fait, bon bah. Bah que là, ça va pas trop le terroriser les histoires des mouettes, quoi.
What's the use in telling sweet hap? What's my view? I ain't looking for a traveler. I do fine by my. Well, night's over. I think I'll see what's happening up the road this way.
D'accord, donc elle va... ok.
Didn't understand all your stories, but the tramping life suits me just with things being so depressed. Plenty nice things to see.
Ok, donc voilà, donc on voit le... En gros, c'est ça l'idée, qu'on récupère des histoires et la nuit on essaie de créer des liens avec les gens.
The hotel is an old manor house that's seen better days. A grand structure surmounted by a gambrel roof that They seem old for their size, around 10 years old. Though they're close, the clerk behind the counter is old, and your room key is worn. In the morning, as you leave, the clerk asks, "Too tired to lie?" You tell him about the noise outside your door, the trampling of...
Silencieux. À mon avis, il lui demandait de t'en dire plus. Ok. Ah mais d'accord, on peut... Ouais, c'est marrant ça. Alors si on maintient un contrôle...
You hear the whippoorwill first, shrill
L'angoule
and
vent.
close.
Quoi?
Then you see him, high up above the black
Tour de ligne
streaks
de
of
plutôt pour une
lights.
ceinture affichée.
A lineman, fraying belt holding him to the... He's unsteady. His hands are
C'est
shaking,
pas l'utile.
and his body sways in the wind. What's he gonna do? Come down from the pole? You snatch it from his bag in one quick motion and walk away. Hey! His body plummets. His limbs go slack with the understanding of what is happening to him. He tumbles and...
Ok. Attends, on va peut-être aller faire un petit tour ici, là, voir... Dès qu'on a encore lu les hauts de Boston. Ah mais j'ai déjà vu ça. Non, du coup j'ai mon histoire sur les rues de Boston qui est améliorée.
The engines belch smoke as the ferry churns gray water into froth.
I wish you didn't have to go.
She says.
There's gotta be work on some of those buildings going up.
His thumbs skip. Her words are split by a sob.
Might as well be.
On dirait que les autres tu seul. Tu connais actuellement un peu, elles sont en si tu racontes l'histoire toute seule, c'est vraiment intéressant. Surtout que l'histoire que les autres racontent, ouais. Ouais, même pas. Et du coup, les corbeaux ils servent vraiment de. Ils servent de tuto, c'est. C'est le gros, non?
The stream is a clear, reflective shade of blue. Unusual in this region, where bog iron colors the river's brown. You now notice the unnatural absence of wildlife. No fish swim in the stream. Over the hill, a scorched one-room house lies abandoned, 2 of its 4 walls in ruins. The goat opens its mouth and wails. A protracted, the winged goat doesn't follow. Instead,
Ah, la morte au ruban jaune, genre, oui, ça c'est.
the man is the color of mill dust. His smile creases his face like folds in dough. Man shoves the broken door closed behind you. The mill is warm, and the air is heavy with the consciousness is elusive. Your limbs throb with a dull fatigue, and your eyes are sticky with dust. The man suddenly, your hand catches a flour sack printed with brightly colored flowers. A puff of flour makes you.
Ah, je vais aller camper avec je sais pas qui.
My twin brother Paul and I always got into trouble, but we were good. We didn't do nothing to anybody till we left. Then we hurt a lot of people. Me, more the march I was on.
Le terrain, c'est mon prêt pour reconnaissance que j'ai pu.
You know any good jokes?
Ouais, il fait des bonnes blagues. Hein. Sur ça est bien, on...
Life ain't like that. The past and your memories come back to you. So, you must...
palpitant. Allez, le moulin.
I don't really scare at that stuff anymore. My family. Yep. Some days I wish I could... Do you know any happy story?
Histoire heureuse. Eh bah, histoire heureuse, il y a... ouais. Les mouettes, moi j'aurais bien aimé avoir les deux mecs qui se retrouvent après X années, mais... avec crevé,
I
machin.
liked that one.
Ah, cool.
The future's the issue, ain't it? Great war. Tell me, happy...
Histoire heureuse, j'en ai plus, mec. Putain, il y a des trucs là. Ah mince. C'est pas heureux non plus, il est mort. Non, c'est pas vraiment heureux non plus, ça, clairement.
That can't be true. That's authority? Can't say I've held the debt. So anyway, tell me a funny story. Got nightmares enough without hearing them. Maud said Paul's ghost. The sun's coming up soon. I'm headed out this way next.
Ok, donc lui il part
Will
ici.
our paths cross? If you see any others like me, none of us are whole.
Bon, du coup, c'était un peu la catastrophe. Hein. Washington, ouais, je suis encore jamais.
The mailman's uniform is dated and worn. He sits on the edge of the road, head in hands. The letter's addressed to a James Gibson Sr., 120 J Street.
Over here!
A woman in a brown coat overheard your question. As you round the corner, the world changes. Jace, the man who answers, is ancient and stooped. He peers at the letter. He fights it, but his face crumbles.
Keep that stride tucked in my soul. 'Cause when my coals burn low and my trains run out of track, I won't be no one else to dig my
Et on est là-bas.
The women are oblivious to your approach. Their eyes are shut. Their touch, where they hold hands, is...
And we give thanks for those who have left us, who we wanted gone, for the skills to...
ones who'll bury me. O'er the waters of this
Clouds roll together to fill the sky.
I'll see them far and long.
The lightning is so strong that it seems to open a path, and the thunder is so immense that the ground trembles.
My tale, my vagrant song. This will be my tale.
Tu sais connaître quoi il se... Ok.
He leans against a fence and turns to face you as you pass him by. At his back,
They look extinct to you?
you're not sure those dull gray pigeons look anything like the pictures you've seen of passenger pigeons, though you can't help thinking
They're lovely creatures. Guileless, really.
hunted damn near to extinction, weren't you? He strokes one of his birds. You sense it's about time you start moving on.
behind to drag you down.
Ok. Ouais, bon, on va aller camper. On va aller voir si on peut, si on peut découvrir de nouvelles histoires. Alors, sur qui va-t-on tomber ce coup-ci? Ah, mais...
Hey, traveler.
Ah, cool.
Join my fire again? Well, I guess I know you. You remember Cass. You want to hear more about my travels? You got any stories that are...
Alors, une histoire un peu triste, il y a quoi? Qui meurt un peu. Allez. Ah, c'est triste, ça marche
You
quoi.
like the sad ones? That sure
Oh.
was beautiful.
Nice.
Sad. Well, so you think just 'cause I'm young, I don't need you looking after me. So if you're offer, what you really ought to be asking yourself is if you want. Hey, tell me one of those.
Ah, en action, il y a quoi? Mais c'est pas ça que je vais mettre, je vais mettre
Were you trying to scare me? There ain't no way I want a story that.
Eh merde, et là maintenant faut les théoriser et du coup j'ai plus rien quoi. Puis... Nul.
Ain't life got an. Now why you want can't run from the dying, but the living. Hey, do you got any really
Histoire qui te décoiffe ça. Ouais, on va tenter le truc maintenant.
Well, that was something. You spent this land sure is something, ain't it? Tramping like I do makes me realize the lands and maybe things are so. I want to hear one of them vent.
C'est vraiment un record palpitant.
I usually like the scary stuff, traps and well, one time in Fort Worth, said a kid couldn't look out for him proper like. Well, before I could much art, guess I ain't going back to. Oh heck, the night's over already. I sure enjoyed talking to you. The tramping life with things being so plenty nice things.
Well, I'm gonna have
Cool, et maintenant on a accès à son chapitre 2 alors.
upon my weary back. I'm gonna keep that stride stuck in my soul. 'Cause when my coals burn low and my trains run out of track, I won't be no one else to dig my hole.
Ah, Alors c'est laquelle qui va être améliorée? Ah, l'orage. C'est pas un oiseau gigantesque.
I got no companion except the wind and the sea. And when I'm gone
Donc c'est quelle touche pour... Déjà il y a la carte avec M, et oui, il y a inventaire avec I. Ok. Je suis ici moi. Ok. D'accord, donc pour l'instant j'ai fait ça, j'ai des sous-entendus là, je suis allé là.
cast my stones o'er the waters of this land, and by I'll see them far and long. 'Cause when the night come down for to take me hand in hand, this will be my tale, my vagrant song.
Ouais, c'est marrant d'avoir le récap comme ça.
This will be my tale, my
Et donc là il y a 16 persos, on a 16 personnages que je dois rencontrer, avec qui je dois discuter. Il y a 237 histoires. Ok. J'ai envie d'avoir un peu d'argent.
You come across a girl picking wild blueberries. You reach in the basket for blueberries, but pull out a handful of small, smooth stones. The stones tumble from your hand and hit the ground.
Une nouvelle histoire. Ah. Deux frères qui à la recherche de l'homme. Ah, excellent. On est parti vers le sud-ouest. Non. Ouais, c'est pêche à des modes qui va appeler les poissons.
Low tide on a moonless night. This beach, it outshines the stars with its presence. A streak of sickly colored light, leaving a trail. Its parabola heads south to north.
Alors, le petit ban.
Sorry, friend, but I gotta ask you not to get no closer unless I can see your hands. They look too clean to be one of us. You don't look like... All right, come and share my fire spell. And I'll give you cornbread. Don't be so sure of me neither. Got any funny stories? Must have a...
Du coup, il y avait une histoire drôle. Histoire drôle, j'en ai pas un, on va mettre ça, mais...
That's supposed to be scary? Heaven? Honest, I need a laugh.
Ah mais arrête avec les bonnes blagues, j'en ai pas, je te dis.
Come on. Don't try to trust. Can I trust you? If I asked you what year it was when they walked set, you heard the word of Mother Jones? If you can't answer these. Anyway, I need something to laugh about.
Ouais, il est relou avec les histoires drôles, Jean-Michel. Hein.
Well, dreaming about the future. And I'll be glad just to get any funny stories. Must have a... Well, just seems like family. He wasn't bigger than 10 years old. He's so big. Anyway, maybe tell me some skip.
Ah, qui fait peur, ça par contre, y'a moyen.
Sure, I know sadness.
Ah, cool.
Sometimes I get to thinking that just because you're times like that, I feel like all them cold flecks. Morning. I gotta get going. Headed up that way. Don't be specific. My safety and Cole ain't got no country. Worker, if you're one of them.
Ouais, voilà, du coup, j'ai pu accéder au chapitre 2 parce que il a réussi à faire ouvrir son œil. Ok.
The edge of summer has turned the ocean choppy, and before you lie the instruments of her profession. With practiced theatricality, she goes directly for the... You'll latch on to what she says, and together you dance towards some insights about your eyes. She says, her voice, the words that come out of your mouth are not your own. They see the glass globe shatters. Your vision is hazy, and your body is not your own. When you come to your senses, you're lying face down on the rough wood.
Ja.
A family of 9 invites you into their home for a meal. Hogs roam free, and during supper, the hard wind puts an awful burden on the walls. The glass dishes rumble on the table. The mother raises up her shoulders into a stern.
That can be found.
You rest in a field where a well-dressed stranger talks your ear off on all manner of subjects.
Death bones. Heard 'em rattle like clank, clink, clank. More start. That don't matter. I'm fine. Got my savior waiting at the pearly gates. Sure was good to meet you.
The man pauses, rubs his chin. No fence, gate, or sign marks the entrance to the cemetery. A wood board, bleached white. Unknown. The word was, "You're already quiet, so maybe." A sparrow calls. Looks nicer now, but unmoored as these mark.
And by, I'll see them far and long. When the night come down for to take me hand in hand, this will be my tale, my vagrant song. Yeah, this will be my tale, my vagrant song.
Ceinture du fer. C'est vraiment cool en tout cas comme principe de jeu.
Sits in the dirt with his legs splayed out, like a child would sit. You kneel in front of the soldier. His body, the soldier leans in, uncomfortably close. A shadow falls on the soldier's face. The cave is really a man-made hole, breaching.
Readying these for sale, friend. Why, these skulls belong to no one.
Little sunlight reaches that deep in.
Du coup, là, suivant ce que je fais, j'ai des cartes
You
différentes.
pause and consider this small man. It's crude and ridiculous, but he's a crude.
Well, I met a man downtown.
Ah, j'ai fait encore ce campement et après je m'arrêterai. Oh, Jimmy, on l'a jamais eu en plus.
You looking for a sermon or just a chat? Don't really matter, frankly. First thing I ain't as one-sided as you might think. Preachers ain't shepherds. They're cowboys. So how about you take a seat? Anyway, why don't you tell me a scare? Oh, you could rap sadness? No. We have to be salve. We have folks like me can't be. Know any funny stories? I need to.
Non, mais les histoires amusantes, vraiment, c'est pas mon truc. Hein.
I'm not sure that one. We all. Every day we strive faith at what we all got faiths. Hey, do you have any spooky campfire tales?
Alors, épouvante. Le problème, c'est que là, je n'ai plus. Ouais, le moulin.
Oh, you got me for a family? My family. Pops was a catch wrestler. You know, used to drag me around, town to town. He lost a lot, frankly. Hey, do you have any spooky campfire tales?
Encore épouvante, il va.
Oh, you got me for luck. Forget about luck.
Ah, cool.
Think about, see, you focus on luck instead. Think on and learn to do it. Anyway, why don't you tell me a story? Oh, you could rattle a congregation's bones. Bondage. One time is all I. Well, I got to get moving on. I have a sermon to give in the morning, and the church is a long night of walking that way. Walk like you're blessed, child, because even if you ain't.
Du coup, hop, chapitre 1 pour lui terminer aussi. Ok, nickel. Bah, du coup, je vais m'arrêter là. Hein. Mais en tout cas, c'est vraiment. J'aime beaucoup la façon dont. La façon dont c'est amené, quoi. C'est vraiment intéressant, en fait. Donc, basiquement, voilà, on va se balader sur une carte, on va collecter un maximum d'infos. Un maximum d'histoires, on va rejouer une histoire et après on va les raconter au coin du feu. Mais ouais, je trouve ça vraiment original comme jeu. Je vais juste aller voir, ouais, je vais juste aller voir ça pour voir quelle histoire avait été améliorée. Par curiosité. Pêcheur et les mouettes. D'ailleurs, ça, je voulais voir aussi. Le pêcheur et les mouettes. Non. Ah, d'accord, donc là, pêcheur et les mouettes, a priori, je l'ai en vrai. Ah ouais, donc les histoires, a priori, il faut les trouver 2 fois pour qu'elles soient... Yes. Ok. Bon, allez, je m'arrête là, mais en tout cas, ouais, un jeu sympa et vraiment original pour le coup. Je suis content d'avoir testé ça, ça fait longtemps que je devais essayer, donc c'est cool. Allez, des bisous tout le monde, et à ce soir pour Hellblade. Donc Hellblade, j'espère que ce sera très bien. Normalement, Hellblade, je vais le faire en aventure complète, hein, si ça me plaît, hein. On verra. On verra.